So this evening, Books and Books is very happy to present the 2015 edition of Tigertail WORDSPEAK. And here to tell us more about it, please welcome to the podium the director of Tigertail and a good friend of Books and Books, Ms. Mary Luft.
It's always great to be here. This is the best store, I think, in the United States. Books and Books. It's a fabulous, fabulous store. And it has so many manifestations. It's always interesting to see where they're moving and what they're thinking about, etc. We have this wonderful book, the 2015 book, but we also have, there's actually a Tigertail corner right up above this man's head of 10 years of poetry books that Tigertail has published. So we have lots of editions here in this store, and it's really wonderful. This is a project that's extremely dear to our heart. WordSpeak, this is the 10th edition of this particular project, and it's something it's living, it's growing, it's changing. Every time you turn around, there's something new that has crept in, and that's really beautiful. I'd like to thank some of the people and organizations that have made it possible. Certainly Books and Books, Miami Beach Cultural Affairs, Miami-Dade County Department of Cultural Affairs, Publix Supermarket Charities, the Miami Beach Botanical Gardens, Wells Fargo, the State of Florida Division of Cultural Affairs, the Knight Foundation, who pays for the printing of the book and the CD, Safe Schools, Pride Lines, the Children's Trust, the National Performance Network, the Miami Foundation, E.S. Moore Family Foundation, the Betsy Hotel, and the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force, which is a special component of this project. We have WordSpeak and we have Speak Out, and they merge in the final edition where the team comes together and they work on poems to take to a national competition every year. In July of each year, a team is sent to a different city. This last year was in Atlanta. The year before that it was Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., New York City, San Francisco. And so it's an incredible experience for teens. And many of the teens on this team have gone multiple years, and we range from the very youngest, James, raise your hand, of 15, James is 15, to, and we have really seniors, maybe 20. You are what they call aged out at the age of 19. And at 19, you can no longer be on a team that competes at the international competition, which is called Brave New Voices. We have a wonderful coach, Teo Castellanos, and Teo is celebrating his 25th anniversary with his wife tonight. So it was a horrible conflict for him, but I think his wife won out on that one. So he will not be here tonight. And we've had a really beautiful assistant coach who was on the team for, is it 3 years, Celestel? Yeah, and she's now a scholarship student at Mount Holyoke. And all of our teens have incredible backgrounds. They just go on to do amazing things at universities, special programs. Mei Lin was in Africa last year, teaching and educating young people in Africa. And we have one team, our skateboard team, that's going to skateboard in, sort of like in a few minutes here. And he's in a design school in Milwaukee. And Christelle, who's the editor of this particular book, has been at Columbia in Chicago, another scholarship student. So we have every year absolutely amazing teens that write, perform, and surprise you at every single turn. I'm going to turn this over to Celestel. She's put a whole lineup together. And so just watch for a skateboard teen that'll be sort of winging in just a few minutes. Stefan Dixon. Celestel, it's all yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Celestel, And as you know, these are our poets, and they have put together in this book, which you will see after, available for sale. Oh, thank you. A book of poems that range so many different topics, some that are very close to their heart and close to the heart of the world. And tonight they will be performing some pieces. Some of those pieces were performed at the Brave New Voices competition, and some of those pieces were not performed but were written and are included in this book. So, to begin, please welcome Christelle, and she will be giving an introduction. Thank you.
Hi everyone. As Celestal said, my name is Christelle, and this year I am the student editor. Malin finally gave me a chance. But it was a different experience being on the team another year as a senior, I guess you'd call it, on the team, because as I saw each of my teammates every rehearsal, as I worked with each of them, and as I worked with a newbie, is what we call him, it was really just different, learning different voices, how to nurture your own voice, keep it honest, and to how to cultivate another voice, and then how to speak to an audience, and how to speak honestly, and speak from the heart, and speak to hearts. So it was just really an honor being on this team for 3 years, and I brought all of my talents to Chicago. It's going to go with me for years to come, because this team, it shapes us all, and it really, really sculpted, shaped, chipped away at me. And I'm definitely a child of Tigertail, WORDSPEAK, and I'm really thankful for all my experiences on this team. And I just wanted to read to you guys my introduction. Yes, I know that you all can read, but in the book, we believe in bringing words to life, and which is what we'll be doing tonight. So I'm going to just read this introduction for you all. Being on this team is like being in a passion factory. It is an experience that has taken me 3 years to understand. It is not something that I can easily put into words, but I will try. My family is supportive, but this team taught me how to build families outside of my own. WORDSPEAK is a pool of art that patiently cultivated me into my most treasured art form, poetry. Our coach, Teo Castellanos, has dedicated years of artistry, energy, positivity, and expertise to the WORDSPEAK team. He brought out the rhythms in our bodies and taught us to be a voice for the voiceless in a world that has become desensitized to the words of our generation. Spoken word poetry is by no means one-dimensional. The root of this art form crosses oceans and bridges continents. Tigertail WORDSPEAK encourages us to travel the roads in the body that everyone is born with, but few explore. I think I speak for our entire team when I thank everyone who made our journey possible. We are budding world shapers and social changers. We seek to have voices strong enough to touch. Tigertail WORDSPEAK allows us to look at the world and how we fit into it. I want to thank my amazing fellow team members. James, the youngest member of the team, shows so much potential. From his readiness to his kind eyes, there is an invigorating innocence that draws everyone to him. Stefan is a versatile artist with a trained voice, with the ability to look out for himself and others. When he sees weakness, he readily offers strength. Momo, she's not here tonight. Momo has the grace of a field of flowers and the power of a forest fire. Her growth and its promise of continuity is a beautiful trait. Malin became a friend when I didn't know that is what I needed. Whether on separate continents or in separate states, the memories, words, and stages we shared will always be a bridge back to each other. Celestel, the team's assistant coach, with whom I share a birthday, was a wonderful driving force at my side. She is a diligent worker who held us responsible when necessary. For our listeners, you do not go unnoticed or unappreciated. Thank you for being the home we come back to. Thank you to the families who picked us up, who housed other youth when necessary, who sacrificed summers for us. Miami, our words are as much for you as they are for us. We have a Miami style so strong it is prevalent in our poetry. To every single person who has invested in Tigertail, thank you. Everything I have learned with Tigertail WordSpeak will follow me and lead me for years to come. But I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. That was the introduction to the book. And just because this is my last year and I will be pursuing independent studies for the next couple years, I have some words for each of our team members. And yeah, it's for each of us as writers. James. I never thought that I'd ever apply the definition of an artist to such a young soul. However, it's hard to explain what I see in you. There is so much potential, such an arsenal that you effortlessly tap into. It enthralls one to watch you work. It's like a child sticking his hand into a cookie jar. However, your maturity is almost as tall as you are. From your readiness to your kind eyes, as I said before, there is an invigorating innocence that draws everyone to you. Stefan. You are a versatile artist with a trained voice, and when strength enough to look out for yourself and others. When you see weakness, like I said, you readily offer strength, and that is a trait that you carry. Thank you for the way you carry yourself. Thank you for the arms you extend to catch all of us. I have loved watching you experiment with the colors of your voice, and I am eager to see where the artist in you flies to in these lives of ours. You are a color in itself, and your voice is just a shade of it. I hope Milwaukee continues to teach you to make art with all the shades in you. Momo, who is not here, I will be reading this because this is live streamed and I know she's watching it. Momo, she has the grace of a field of flowers. We've worked blindly at each other's sides for years, but only when I began to share stages with her did I begin to hear the depth in her. There are voices in her body that she seems to be protecting. Love. She needs to be careful that in protecting a voice she doesn't get in the way of her own, but her growth and its promise of continuity are a beautiful trait. As you are in India, I wrote this in the summer. I pray that the buds on that voice of hers continue to be open, and I'm eager to see her for the flower she is every time I see her. Keep writing. Your humility and passion do not go unnoticed. Celestelle, all I can say is July 18th. Thank you for what I have found in you and for the wealth of promise in the years to come. All these words, and I keep running into things I don't have enough words to define, and my friendship with you is one of them. Having you as a teammate was a wonderful driving force at my side. Having you as an assistant coach was a light in the darkness of searching for words. You are a diligent worker who held us responsible when necessary, who was on top of us morning to night. Good thing you're so small we could bear it. You were clarity in a calamity of emotions, and you identified with us as a WordSpeak alumni and directed us with ease as an assistant coach. Your punctuality always had you there to catch us hours before we fell. It had you checking on us the nights when we went home empty, and it had you keeping us focused when we were in our own way. Thank you for your job as an assistant coach. I have a lifetime to thank you as a friend. Malin, my poet mate, my sister and friend, thank you. Thank you for being my words before I got on the team, encouraging me to find myself on the team, and for being a good friend to me when even I didn't know that's what I needed. From our first slam, where you were very extrovertly introduced. From our first slam, where you very extrovertly introduced yourself to me, I never knew you'd become so essential to the breath that carries this voice of mine. Though Tigertail did not give me to you, it gave me enough of myself to give back to you. Your mind is a remarkable blessing. Hopefully someday you'll find a suitcase large enough to carry its horizons with you to Chile and beyond. Whether on separate continents, in separate states, memories, words, and stages we shared will always be a bridge back to each other. And Tail, though he's not here, I know he will see this on live stream at some point. I think I speak for everyone on the team, every alumni, and every supporter when I say thank you. The artist in you has become you, and identifies, challenges, and loves passionately the artist in each and every one of us. You were our protector when we ventured into the dangers of our own emotions. You were an educator when we had more questions than answers, a director when we came back from a shamanistic journeys with those handfuls of art we spoke of. You taught us to hear the fluctuation of silence, to see rhythms, and to feel out for words like we were reading Braille. You helped our mouths familiarize with purpose, taught us to use the voices our parents gave birth to, and you taught us to find all the arts in one art form, performance poetry. We received an education, enlightenment, and an artistic experience from you that has been so essential to every life you touched. You are the author of the Miami style we defined. Thank you for working through worry and hope to show the resiliency of this style, of this fashion of poetry. Like you said, there is no bad that good doesn't come from. The bad in the competitive pang of not placing at Brave New Voices is made up for in the good done in lives of everyone who has ever been a part of this team and those who have listened. You're definitely like the Pat Riley of Miami's WordSpeak team. Thank you all. That was pretty long.
Thank you, Christelle. That was so amazing. Wow. Wow, a lot to take in, yeah? So now, help me to introduce Malin.
Hey everyone. So I wasn't aware of the whole aging out thing. I'm actually 32. I've been on this team for about 23 years now. Just kidding. It is my last year though, unfortunately. I was on the team for 4 years, trying for the team. About 3 years before that. So I've been on this team since I was, still shopping at Hot Topic. So it was like that. I'm going to read a poem that I had recorded on the CD, but it's not in the book, so I have to get it on my phone. Nobody kill me. I know I'm on my phone. Okay. I'm leaving the door open, even though I'm scared of intruders too. Slip me a note under the door. Lie to me. Tell me you were here all night. Believe me, I will still touch you in the desert. I've enchanted your skin to notice me. Only a chant could allow it. Forgive the absence of coal. Forgive the engine I gutted before arriving. I can't bring myself to burn anyone these days. I can only ring the cowbells. I admit I dream of branding you with this invisible heat, this muddle of things for the cauldron. I believe what I believed is bubbling in this potion. I believe all the mad things are blowing each other up. I will ask you not to drink this and hold it between my teeth. I will rev the broomstick of my body, not quite breakable enough. The escape routes are all bad kissers. The good ones all lead you back. But I am only wooden, so break me if you have to. Do what you must to stay warm. That's it. Oh, Momo's piece. Yes. So I will also be reading Momo's piece because she is in India right now with Global Citizen Year, teaching English with Teach for America. So I will be reading her piece today. Okay. Asphyxia by Momo Manalong. He was an emerald boy, my mother told me. Said she wanted to name him Patrick, like the saint who made makeshift of vermin, thrusting their households in the coiling of tidal waves. I was more babble than eloquent, mouth rampant like a falcon wing. Is my brother in heaven now? I asked. Her speech, tangled in threads of stillness, allowed for silence to scold the peeling of my tongue. Said, recall, was yet a definition inked on my lip. I did not know the serpent who once snagged the bones of my rib cage. For now I fear birthing its disease, unsure if my child will bear the shedding of breaths too. I cannot scavenge for limbs after they have spilled. I can only make use of what is left.
I will also be reading a poem by Momo Manalong while she is in India in honor of her, of course. Land of the morning, child of the sun returning with fever burning, thee do our souls adore. the Philippines' national anthem. 1. Joy. Perched with knees kissed against bent elbows, I watched as you bruised the paddling of sandals against wildflowers. The chiseled hips of a lake pressed the concrete jetties, and your silhouette mirrored a palm tree in wrinkled ripples. And you were very much one, hunched and olive skin, as if the sun herself mapped you an anatomy of photosynthesis. Brother, you pillar of composure, coalesced my ears to the expansion of the summer's inhale, where I'd nest in the lungs of a humid afternoon. 2. Brother, you orphaned sobriety, but as lips staggered the rim of a beer bottle, you gardened with my arid palms, etched an anthem on my nape to stifle the absence of ethnicity. Never had a crooked man built an ardent narrow of my limbs. Neither peeled my mother's dialect from my husk of a voice box. You, some delirium slung upon a red horse, babbled perpetually of that zealous star hung at the arc of a horizon, eager for patriotism to pulsate a forgotten child of the sun. And now, Christelle, again.
The poem isn't as nearly as long as the intro, guys. So this is a poem that I wrote for my best friend, Malin. It's a sestina. Sestinas are pretty hard, and my emotions were really like everywhere, so that's the only way I could possibly write it. I was like drunk on emotions. So yeah, this was written while she was in Africa and I was in Chicago. A sestina blowing around your village, for Maitland. Let's braid our fingers, know our hair, into the moments we shared. With our forearms stretching across the bosom of the Atlantic, let's go back to confessional poetry and swinging legs over the naked bay, before the wind carried me to a village of buildings and you to a city of huts. Let's not stop tossing sand into water and breaking branches when we can't find words. I'm a stowaway in the shadow of the sun, diving into Dakar, looking for you, my detachable wings. How do you measure an hour on a dirt road in Dakar? What water can I slip through without being filtered? I am rummaging through shared streets of dirt and trees, trying to find you in these foreign graffiti branches. A baby cried a tongue I don't know. The green line dragged me back across the Atlantic. I reached for the waistline of your pants, trying to show you that you do not fit into the soot city. But the sheets in my hands snapped me back to Chicago, had me running past class to the bay. But this body is no ocean. Last night I rose with sand in my eyes, wiped the bay off my cheek, and tiptoed into the only goat awake in Senegal after Tabaski. I got lost in Dakar. Liberes Ndongo Diad whispered me back to sleep as it vandalized itself onto the city. I was shook into consciousness by a siren. I got typhoid from skinny dipping into our shared memories. Is it you I miss or my hijacked dream? My pen's a rifle shooting across the Atlantic, landing flat on the acres of your empty pages. Only breaths of leaves and broken branches survive here in Chicago. The sun threw a fit when I couldn't find your village's branches. My words are fringed with the goodbye poems we tossed 4 weeks ago into Miami's Bay. I am a West African hurricane trying to touch land before collapsing across the Atlantic. I'm coming to caress the burn scar the bullet hollowed into your foot for walking to the car in shorts. An elderly woman made the same trip, breast beating, bucket on head. You shared the wrong parts, you see. I'll walk the waves, the wind chipping at my lips to cater water to your city. There's an Ebola outbreak in all your neighboring countries, and you still travel to the city? You still make out in the clubs of Dakar? You still go on dates, stroke their branches, and smoke their ancestors? The Wi-Fi is leafing out all the words I want to share. The distance is choking me with your circle scarf. Please, come home. Find my hands at the bay. The water pried poems from fingers when I reached for you, leaving scratch marks for Dakar's roads. Trail over the braille in the waves and read the letter I scattered across the Atlantic. I'll slaughter you a cornucopia and deliver it as a Tabaski offering across the Atlantic. I'll spare you of the goat in the communal bowl. I'll shake the francs out the city until the dollars fall through. I'll rescue you to me by making a path out of Dakar and splitting the ocean into the Red Sea. I'll map the latitude of the sand and branches at your feet. At the lightest breeze, you'll hear my voice. Circling the witch's brew of the bay, I'll go on a shamanistic journey for us. I'll be the gatekeeper for the memories we shared. By the way, I cut my hairs like yours was, but maybe I accidentally snipped branches of our aerial root memories. I'm waiting, though, with my palms up on the shoreline of the bay, midriff stretching across the Atlantic being whipped, waterlogged, asking you to share.
Thank you, Christelle. Next up, we have Malin with the indie piece. And I just want to remind everybody that if you do hear something and you agree with it, don't forget to, snap and show love any way you can, or however it is that you feel. Thank you. All right, Malin.
So what had happened was I've been on this team for so long. I have a poem instead of an indie because I had a lot of indies. So pausing for dramatic effect, Okay. Incandescent. The wax drops on my wrist, and I am balancing on that cliff again, not with point shoes or even the heel of my bare foot. Rather, I am handstand ready with a leather glove on the one that will not hold me up. Will you break my fall like cotton rafts waiting for my cascade? If only I make it that far, if only I am not rammed into the water walls by a cannon's kiss. Leave me on this rocky peak, where a tilted hip could be a catapult, and I can decide whether I am cart or wheel, and whether or not I am ready to fall.
My mother works in a motel, not as a maid. On Take Your Child to Work Day, she'll strap me down with the harshness, bombarding her voice stained with shame and mockery. She shattered motel windows, a veil of walls only noticed when parted, can't tell if the room is peeling or if she's just stripped down. They are beginning to feel identical. Both reek of sin and semen and sweat and shh. Men treat my mother like their Messiah. Forfeit their demons in exchange for her body. There is nothing sacred about a cross, heaving the weight of her arms and legs as they unfold. What is holy about a church after it has corroded? She's stagnant in those cracked walls with sex-crazed mattresses and babbling lamps. My mother sells her time to lust-desired men who come strolling on her bed. My mother has camouflaged into one with men's sweaty musks suspended in cobwebs and dust. The day she took me to her job, it was cold. I witnessed frost shedding from a nightstand, tossed and crumbling like an avalanche. Mama's mattress whispered in the form of creaking, sinking its way to the burrows of my ears. Come to me, it said. She had me play hide and seek in the closet, not knowing that someone else would arrive, though no one was seeking for me. She was searching for us, abandoned something beneath bed sheets. My legs, they trembled, terrified of brushing against fragments in her corruption. I'll ask her, don't you feel tattered after you've been used? She risks her life every night she tackles her tears and pulls up her G-string. She'll always say, this is a lifestyle, a career. This is what women do with no other option, dangling from their false fingernails to get their own. This is when God pretends to be caught up in a slumber with a good enough idea of what I did to feed your ass last night. But I don't believe in a God who turned a blind eye to a whore. Well, Mom, I may not ever know the feeling of hundreds of men ripping me open, digging for a treasure that had vanished a long time ago, but I know the feeling of kids at school slipping $20 bills at my unkept fingertips asking me, what time your mama gonna work? As my tears finally fall in the inferno, my mother, she's trapped in 9 circles of metaphor heaven, my mother. My friends on the street, they know her as Motel 7.
I met a girl tonight, but I don't think you're gonna like her. No, Ma, none of that grandchildren stuff. Hear me out. This girl, man, she looked just like you. Confused, worn, tired. Mama, she keep talking about love like weight loss, like she hasn't seen any results in the current routine, but she's got your reasoning, Ma. And your fragments and your pieces, but she'd rather be in pieces than be broke. So she gonna keep on buying into the myth that progression is a lot better than emptiness, you know, like it was with you. After 30 days, you notice the bruise under your eye and you tell yourself that's love, that it's hard and so is reality. And then after 3 months, you notice that limp in your step, and that's because he swept you off your feet too many times. And then, don't worry, in a year, you see that the demons have you jump at the slightest breath because that's when your tongue has been trained to the sweet taste of fear, and then your body will start to notice all sorts of cups and rips. Mama, you got to talk to this girl because both her feet are in the wrong direction. And I can tell she can't dance with the big boys. You see, Mama, you got to show her some of your moves. Because you're the only one I know that's been doing this for over 20-something years with 5 boys, man. You handled us like a basketball coach. So I'm going to need you to coach her, too, because she's new to this game. And her defense is all wrong. You feel me, Mama? She ain't going to get no ring if she keep playing like that, Mama. When I met this girl tonight, I spoke for you. It took me way too long to find any justice in my judgment, and I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to make my poems not be monogamous to poems and occasionally stages. My excuse, I was too sinful to be your savior, but you always taught me not to make excuses, but to make it better. So, Mama, when I met this girl tonight, I spoke for you, and for every other woman who had to figure out the hard way that eating punches don't do shit to supplement love, that in the fight to get fit, you gotta learn to open your fists and let go of what hurts most. Mama, life is too short to be boxing before we're in a box. So, man, you got your work set out for you because it took you forever. But you're going to have to teach this girl how to run, how to survive, like you did.
Thank you. So up next we have some pieces, and we refer to them as team pieces. So usually when there's individual pieces you have all year, or maybe something you've been working on, and you bring it over the summer, you bring it, but you've already been working on it. When we have team pieces, these are pieces that are from scratch. So we meet in the summer, and then all summer we work on these pieces to take them to Brave New Voices. So right now, what you're gonna see is the product of that hard work and collaboration. Thank you.
You'd tumble into the dressing room like a fallen dove. White feathers and wigs spilling from the seams of your trunk. You'd search through heaps of dresses for your many faces until you found the lipstick your mother scolded you for wearing as a little boy. But you were the queen of dragging those costumes around. I mean, you'd find a place for them in every open crevice, patch every open wound with a silk scarf. You skinned your thighs into red dreams, tore at the man on them with sheets of wax. So I lit candles for him every night at 6.
Let him rest in the wardrobe while the heels stepped out.
Your face, instantly peelable. You drew layers of her over and over, outlined your lips as you tested your voice, Cupid's bow drawn deeper, speech higher than ever before. You dust pink onto the crease of each cheek, hoping to catch the light and keep it there. To have a face as radiant as the sequins draped over your chest, you'd say, oh, they'll love these. You know, when them wolves get to howling, it's like I'm the whole damn moon, baby.
Like, I don't know much about moving mountains, but when you walked onto that stage, you were a strutting skyline, a tilting tower, just too much gorgeous to pinpoint each part, so you inhale the view and hold it there and take a picture and try to keep it forever. But some days, you walked out there with a stitched mouth.
Maybe a raw throat, but you sang anyway, with an iron pole through your tongue and a clay gown where they said the suit should have been. I saw it crack when you swayed too hard, when they closed the curtain to the spectacle of you. You lapped at makeup until it lathered, until you could wash the girl off.
You pulled at your gut till a man fell out from beneath the diamonds. You thought maybe you'd become more human, less novelty if you didn't look so bright. Said maybe the audience loved her more than you did at this point. I watched you pull tights over your knees and fall to them, and you tore there just as easy as cheap fabric. Said you had let her out of you for some air, but now she was walking away completely.
Those last songs you sang keep playing in my head.
Like I can still hear pearls rumbling at the end of each note. Every step you took strung us like a vineyard. Their applause as you fell to the floor, louder than a rain of horses, trampling hooves hitting pavement as each palm met. It was the sound of a carriage arriving unsummoned to take you away.
Now, with every frantic step, I search for the stages you danced on. I have sought out the cashmere in your lungs, the soothing clamor of your squeals coming through the soundboard, but the lack of laughter in these speakers lingers in my ears after every curtain. It slips under my covers and reminds me of your absence every time the lights go out.
There's something haunting about wasted potential. It is the unheard mysteries that lay dormant between the pages of untouched textbooks. But through the voices that came whispering in, one told me all I needed was a chance, because screaming at the wind wasn't enough to convince the world those on my side. He said, young man, you got a lot to learn. And I'm sure he had a lot that he wanted to teach. So we'd spend Wednesdays afternoon cruising through Southside cities with car stereos that sounded like chalkboards because good music is too gentle to break eardrums. We'd exchange war stories about different sides of the classroom. I tried to convince him that at the back of the class that no one cared if I learned, and I wasn't entirely sure that anyone cared if I was here. He said, man, you ought to be more cautious when you step with the truth. Now, I understand, had it not been for the sun beating on your back, you'd be a little more wet behind the ears, but, boy, you better figure out how to dance. There's been too many glass shards out here for you to worry about these eggshells now, so go on and take your time with that swing. Make sure you protect yourself in the process. That's something I need to learn. And it's a good thing that I recognize your ropes from when my spine was aligned against them, so I'm going to teach you to waltz with the devil. And on his words, I locked in a promise. Because for years, I've been at the back of a class with a telescope in search for a better future. I've seen many explorers get lost amongst these canyons trying to escape their hard places, so I've been a bit hesitant with taking risks. And these cliffs, they don't seem like opportunity. They look like failure with a gaping mouth, and I've been cooked to his liking, so it's going to take more than some voices to get me to jump. It's going to take men with green thumbs and women with wombs big enough to nurture children other than their own, and reminders that I was a dandelion had I took the time to grow up and had some pride in myself, so I was lucky enough to have stardust in my skin and mounds of soil at my feet, and a guardian who knew how to, and a gardener who knew how to finesse growth in the crevices of concrete slabs, because a few drops of water was never enough for anyone to grow. So for those of you who know, For those of you who know this place, I dare you. You find a seed that doesn't know its worth. You show it its potential, nourish it with floods of love, and then bury it in soil. But don't forget to whisper sweet sentiments in its presence, reminding it that it can grow. Because for every gardener who took the time to make sure I grew, I owe you a part of my life. You were segments of my stem, a foundation at my feet, a roots, so that I always remember where I've come from. You've kept me grounded. And I couldn't have made it this far without you. So I couldn't have grown this much without you.
Hi again, everyone. These team pieces, by the way, they go from either 2 people to 4 people. So Mayla and I, of course, we were 2 people. Now these are 4 people. So sometimes we share lines, sometimes we interact with one another, and it's really like almost like a mini stage play in the form of a poem. So this is open season.
Open season!
Now, before we begin the tour, does everyone have their hunting materials? Guns, tranquilizers, flashlights, batons?
Check.
This is going to be the safari of a lifetime.
Just watch as the plains come alive with game.
Today on Open Season, we'd like you all to pay attention as we observe.
Those tall animals are like giraffes. Gaze in their sections.
See them attempting to shield their large bodies behind the bushes.
Oh, look! Odolazol! Oh, those zebras are so bloody confused. Are they black with white stripes? Are they white with black stripes? Who knows?
Seems like we're getting some action now.
Oh, the cheetah is sauntering behind a gazelle.
See how it lingers unseen.
Ready to go in for the kill.
Remember, all of these animals are extremely violent. You're not to take any chances.
Always shoot first, ask questions later. The cheetah's setting a trap. It pounces. Prey falls, boys, black and young.
Young black boys fall prey.
Save us, keep the weapons pointed.
Pointed weapons don't keep them safe.
Set the traps, keep them away.
Away they're kept, traps are set.
Get out!
Hands up, shoot!
Get up, hands up, don't shoot!
Open season on young black men has officially been declared over.
We're one of the most sought-after hunting grounds in the entire universe.
It is not the wilds of South Africa, Uganda, or Tanzania.
This is Atlanta, Georgia.
This is Baltimore, Maryland.
This is Brooklyn, New York.
Miami, Florida, Crenshaw Heights, Richmond Heights. We're tired of watching lives pass on while we pass around flyers and videos. We refuse to let another name be wiped clean from the windows of our screens.
We won't allow another Trayvon, Michael Brown,
Tamir, Walter Gray to
Freddie
be
Gray.
ripped from our family trees.
And you thought America got rid of its human zoos over a century ago.
The people they mistake for animals aren't the ones acting like them.
We are not an endangered species. This country protects endangered species.
We're drafted into the most dangerous game wearing the jumpsuits we were born in.
People of color have had to get used to getting dogged, but we don't get the courtesy of being treated like one.
When you kill a dog,
you actually get indicted.
This is not a fair game, America. I don't recall being asked to play.
Don't ask me again whether hope has a color,
whether strength has a color.
whether human is label enough. Instead, answer me this, America.
What color are the officers that hunt us?
What color are the men they shoot down?
What color is a funeral?
What color are a mother's knees on concrete?
Do you see how hard it can be to keep your head up in a country that wants you on all fours?
Just because you've left us hanging on trees before
Doesn't mean we belong in them.
I'm going to introduce Zora. So you get ready. Yeah, thank you. Wow. So, as you can see, we are hitting a lot of topics here. But I want to tell you a little story. So often during the practices during the summer when we all come together, we have interactive games and sometimes we do improv and different activities. And so one day we were playing this game, and it's like you get in a circle and you have to tell a story, but you have to make it up, and the other person has to follow what you said, but it all has to make sense. It can't just be, everything crazy. So I'm telling you that story to tell you that the next piece that that is going to be performed was birthed due to a game, and it just shows how in that space how creativity reigns. So please welcome Christelle and Stefan doing a piece called Zora.
Zora, Zora, Zora. You see, she is a heap of mule bones and pores, sitting in the maiden's quarters, trying to capture the essence of her day. Her body expands like an accordion, jazzing up the room. She hugs herself, feeling for the city.
There be a bluebird, be a bluebird, be a bluebird. Dearest Langston, I've been doing a lot of thinking lately, and I realized that one day this world will only have our language as what is left of us. Have you thought of that? They'll have us in the vibratos of their lungs, in the colors of their food, in the bruises of the sky, and who's going to teach them how to lock and dread their words with the truth?
She exhales breaths of music in cut time. As she does this, faces transform into a different generation as she hums her way out of the room once her ribs are roads again. The freeway backsteps and angels with saxophones and culture and essence take host of her body. The ghost town of her lungs speak of Harlem and Overtown.
Langston, I know I was running through memories and fantasies, but I don't remember how I got here. There's people speaking Spanish, and they're black, and they're Haitian, and they from all over the place, and they speaking in different colors, talking about the blacker their words matter, but I don't know what color they was talking in the first place. And people speaking over music these days like they're singing, and they got these funny little shiny little handheld typewriters, got people glued to them like tongues on envelopes in Langston, churches burning up newsreels, and black boys hanging from the barrels of guns, and Klansmen wearing blue now, but they still got their badges.
The freeway split her keloids with memories. Skin spills from the walls of her tendons. Her skin washes the color out, and she looks as she becomes at the same time. The road in her body heads south a few decades into the 21st century.
I got a 55-year history I don't remember learning. I tell myself, Zora, you's losing it. She really is. But as I look around, I realize I'm not the one that lost a damn thing. That damn desegregation, that damn brown big board. Our kids stopped getting taught who they was, Langston, our babies.
Zora, the new Negro don't take no jazz, don't talk no jazz.
These new niggas don't know nothing about jazz.
The new Negro improvises on the color line, Zora.
These new niggas talking about they colorblind.
The new Negro is revising the text of his skin.
Langston, they got you in history books like you's dead. And from the way they write, they got me thinking, now I'm dead. Now, how can I be dead if my word's still living? I'm not dead, but I'll tell you what died. The breaths of our skin got choked when they stopped telling stories and started telling news. The breaths of our skin got choked when they made a culture out of struggle. Black culture has become black oppression, and even our own words don't sound like us no more. Even our own words don't sound like us no more.
Zora. These be villages without huts. Too many souls have died for spirits to know where they belong. If they ain't been given no culture, they better find it. Find it in the books. Find it in the roots of the books that haven't died yet. How can you tell someone your life matters if you ain't showing them? Telling them don't do a damn thing, though it should. Elders and storytellers have always died with dictionaries in their skin, but I wonder at what point did we decide that essence wasn't an heirloom?
Since when is black history
allowing your struggles to define you? We licked our kin until their blood was blues. Or when hard luck overtakes you.
Nothing for you to do.
When hard luck overtakes you.
Nothing for you to do. everyone again. So, this poem is one that is dear to our hearts with all that is happening in the news, all that's happening to families. No matter what, there's victims, there's so much happening. I can't even emphasize that enough. But we wrote this piece thinking about the mothers that bring these people in to this world, the mothers who are losing their children, the mothers who have to go through a series of events trying to understand what happened to their child. So this poem is a persona poem written in the perspective of these mothers. If I should be blessed with a child, I'll pray for him every moment of the day. We, the mothers of minorities, open the casket of our chest so everyone can see the babies we buried.
When I walked past his body in the sanctuary, I swore he was still singing.
When they pelted bullets at my boy, I wish they erupted in me instead. We, the mothers, begged for our hearts to stop beating instead. When I gave birth to a boy, I wept. We, the mothers, didn't teach our babies to have skin thick enough to be bulletproof. We had to tell our babies horror stories about kids their age just to protect them.
We, the mothers, had our babies' lives threatened for giving them brown skin
And
curly hair. They had to lie down. We, the mothers, felt the bullets gather in our wombs with the pains of birth.
We, the mothers, felt our hearts beat out the bullet holes. We didn't recognize our babies with no life in them.
We didn't give birth to fair game. My son's body wasn't meant to house gunpowder and shrapnel.
When I gave birth to my son, I didn't raise him to be an animal. He didn't need nobody's taming.
To every mother who has had her child stolen from her,
Who has had to bury their child into the very earth that she must continue living on. I'm sorry
for the inextinguishable fire lit in your stomach. I'm sorry. Your son was proven to be a superfluous appendage.
I'm sorry there are people trying to justify the stilling of your child's breath. We've witnessed enough headlines fashioning their adolescents into burning crosses. Lord, I surrender every unborn child of color if it means stifling bloodshed.
Every verdict that has justified the casketing of young black boys,
brown boys,
yellow boys,
all of color, has yet to understand the history and the skin we gave them. We the mothers don't know how to stop conceiving criminals.
We didn't know our wombs were a euphemism for cells.
Didn't know that their cribs would accustom them to being behind bars. But Sabrina Fulton, your son's story outraged an entire generation.
Leslie McFadden, your son's death has sparked 1,000 torches. They will not go out until there is justice for brown men.
Mammy Till, you taught us this story with open casket vernacular. Tatiana Grant. Your father's passing was louder than colliding trains. It made empty cabins of our hearts. We will not ring in another year with a gunshot.
Esau Garner, your husband's death was seen by the entire world, and it left us breathless too.
America, you've yet to answer a question posed by another mother of dark skin. What shall I tell my children who are black? What shall I tell my child? He is black, George Zimmerman.
What shall I tell my child? He is brown, Darren Wilson.
What shall I tell my child? He is brown, Michael Dunn. What shall I tell my child, Eric Casebolt? She is black.
You will never know how it feels unless you are the future mother of a minority.
I am concerned with the current state of our nation.
So I will hold my child close because his cradle will always creak like a casket.
Wow. So, we're down to our final piece. I know, it's a bit heavy. So this piece is with Christelle and Malin again. So please, I know, they're tired, I bet. So, are you guys ready? All right, so welcome them back. Thank you.
We had to change our costumes, hence the break. This is your side. On days where I am hanging by a cord, she cranes her neck and catches me reeling, immediately fills me and pulls me back into the earth.
When my own weight is too much to carry, she carves at my middle until I am hollow enough to build rooms in, body bent into boxes for tired skin.
Have you ever peeled yourself as you prayed for new skin? She kisses an apology onto me again. I am strung by cords, feet gasping for ground. She says, I'm never enough woman. Instead, always bait, calls me everyone's catch, reeling to the surface. I am arms outstretched, fingers begging to be carried out of her grasp. I wished for rains that could dissolve me. If I am only earth, why won't this muddy body just melt?
Baby, our problems are only earth. We've got too many elements in us reacting, but the fire igniting in our skin, that should be what consumes us entirely. I could hide you from winds and carry you out of the ocean, but when the flames sign in the cord to dissolve us, you'll send us reeling for clean sky to swallow. You'll see then that we alone are enough for survival.
When I first met you, I too thought you were enough for a singing pulse, but then you sunk me. And I prayed to earth to change this ending, 'cause when your fists rise and send me reeling, when you fashion my bones into pillars, when you paper the walls with my skin, still I rattle up from the concrete. Even if I need climb a cord to restore me, I'm tired of collapsing and letting you carry me back, only to be broken again.
Maybe your sins are too great to carry. Maybe your sins are too great to carry. Maybe you needed to be screwed into staying. Maybe I'd be more than enough if you let me. Maybe. You see, just maybe your veins were meant to be just a cord between bruises. Maybe I put them there to show you that you belong here with me. Shouldn't love seep into skin? Shouldn't hearts like ours bleed oceans? Shouldn't love leave our heads reeling?
She cranes her neck, catches my breath, and reels me back in our arms. Too weak to carry two hearts alone, my body still aches.
I apologize for branding her skin. I can't bring myself to walk away, to tell myself I've done enough damage. Good thing I can fall to this earth for repentance.
She strikes a chord across my face, but she says I'm too quiet anyhow. I mean, there wouldn't be enough music without her. A blanket of dust falls over the earth. Like us,
it is unwillingly swallowed and easily blown.
Thank you so much for listening, and please give it up for all the poets again. So you can imagine what a summer we had together. Wow. It was amazing. It was amazing being an assistant coach to these lovely poets, watching them grow, watching the pieces evolve. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for this space. Thank you, Mary, always. Thank you so much.
That's right, folks. Issue 10 of Tigertail WordSpeak is for sale at the counter over there, along with back issues of Tigertail WordSpeak and back issues of the Tigertail Annual, as Mary mentioned. Our poets are going to be signing here at the table, and those were some fantastic performances. Please give them all another hand. Thanks very much. Thank you, guys.